guys, welcome back and happy new year. So today I am doing for you guys my best in beauty for 2017. I believe when this video is going up, it'll already be January 3rd, maybe 4th, so I know I'm a little behind. I know a lot of people get these up before the new year, but with all my camera issues I did have to refilm this video, so yeah. I just want to share with you guys some of my personal favorite products and things from 2017. So yeah, I've got a pile of makeup in front of me. Let's just dive right in. Okay, so let's go in order of the face, just because I feel like that's going to be the easiest way to get through everything in a regular amount of time. So, got 5 face primers. Some of these are brand new to me in 2017, some of them are new launches from 2017, and some of these are repeats from last year, just because I feel like if there were things that I mentioned last year that I'm definitely still using, I'm going to mention them in this video. I'm sorry guys, I know some people don't do it that way, but I feel like that's not accurately representing everything that I literally grabbed. Yeah. A definite favorite of 2017, and one of the best parts of the year for me was adopting this little this little lover boy, my darling Addie cat, my little Atticus. He's growing into quite a beautiful boy, aren't you? You're so big. He used to be so tiny, he could fit on my shoulder, and now he's a hefty little boy. He's 7 months old now, and he's a sweet little boy. He's my little man, and he is a good boy. Except when the Christmas tree is up, then he's a bad boy, and he knows it. Yes, you are. Okay, face primers. First off, the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer Water. This stuff is amazing. I use this both for prepping my face before putting makeup on, as well as refreshing throughout, especially if I'm working with a lot of powder products. I will use this to kind of revive my skin as I go, and I also use it to kind of set my makeup at the end. It's also great for that. The next primer I have was my favorite from 2016 as well from last year. This is the Hourglass Mineral Veil Mineral Primer with SPF 15. This is just the jumbo size. I think this guy costs 70 bucks. I might have that wrong. I can't remember. This stuff is amazing for me. It's just a really great go-to primer when I'm not super dry or super oily, just because I am normal skin. I tend to fall in that middle combination. So for me, this works really great for times when I am perfectly down the middle and just need something to help keep my makeup make my makeup last throughout the day. This is perfect. So something that's kind of been a favorite for really hydrating and prepping and making my makeup last has been this. This is the Laura Geller Spackle Supercharged Fortified Under Makeup Primer. That was a mouthful. I think there's about 8 primers in this line, so this is a great line to try out if you're someone who, you need something that's hydrating, you need something that's mattifying, color correcting, illuminating. There's something for everyone in this makeup line. Atticus still wants to sit on my lap. So yeah, this is great. It is a little bit of a thicker primer, so for me this is definitely more one that I use in the fall and winter time, maybe early spring as well, but it's definitely not a summer one for me at all. Nope. That's definitely what I'm using, the Hourglass. Or something else that was very popular for me this year, although you can't really tell by looking at it because it doesn't look like I got through that much. I heard a lot of mixed reviews on these. This is the Urban Decay Optical Illusion Complexion Primer. I heard a lot of mixed reviews. People either really loved it or really hated it. They felt like it did nothing or it was too thick. Yes, this is a very thick foundation. I only use a half a pump to cover this entire stretch here, as well as my forehead, my chin, and then I just kind of use the rest to blend out towards the edges of my face. I definitely wouldn't go in with like a full pump because that will cover more than... The cat's gonna meow, I'm sorry. It'll cover more than your whole face. If you use a whole pump, this stuff a little bit goes the longest way. You're probably not gonna use the full half pump, for crying out loud. But this is amazing. It definitely smooths my blemishes. It smooths over my dry patches, my pores, things like that. It's great for that. The last primer is brand new. I've had it since the spring VIP Rouge sale, but I didn't start using this until about the beginning of fall or so. This is the Farsali Unicorn Essence Primer, and I did use it in this tutorial, which will be up after this, so it's not up yet, but once it's up, it will be in that. This is just such a great primer if you have dry skin. Any oil-based primer like this, or the Farsali Rose Gold, the Carez Wild Rose, the Smashbox Primer Oil, things like that, those are great products for dry skin, just because they're going to do a really good job of hydrating your skin as well as helping your makeup last. This gives a really nice glow and radiance to your skin, as well as just keeping your makeup in place and keeping your skin hydrated with the makeup on it. It's amazing. Definitely a brand new love for me. So I've got 3 foundations to talk about. I'm going to try and zoom through them. The YSL Fusion Ink Foundation was one I actually tried out in 2016, I believe. And you know, I kind of liked it then. I was kind of like, okay, it's great, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But now that I've definitely gotten into using it more, this is a really great foundation. I would say if you are normal or combination skin, super dry or super oily, I'm not quite sure. It might depend on the primer that you're choosing to pair with it. That would all depend on you and your choice of primer. Sir, I can't do this right now. But it's definitely a liquid to powder finish, so keep that in mind if you're wanting to try it out. Plus it's expensive. Sir, add a kiss. Right, he's gonna keep meowing unless I hold him, so I'm just gonna do this one-handed for a few minutes till he gets bored. Something else that I tried out for the first time in 2017 and ended up loving was the MAC Studio Fix Fluid Foundation. I have mine in the shade NW10. This stuff is great. This is a little dark for me now. What do you think, Eddie Cat? Little dark? It's a little too yellow for me too. I'm not matching it to you, you silly boy. So this is just a great, nice, lightweight foundation. I think everyone in the world knows about the MAC Studio Fix Fluid. It's not super expensive either. It's about $20. I want to say it's 18, but I feel like that's not right. So I'm going to say 20, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I probably want to go in and get a shade that works for me when I'm a little bit paler and a little more pink, and maybe one that's like a little more neutral, just to kind of have some to mix together for when I need them. But yeah, it's a great lightweight, pairs really nicely with all my primers that I've tried it with. And kind of the one that I'm topping as like the holy grail foundation of the year was this guy right here. I can't believe it took me this long to try this foundation out. It's been around for ages. It was buzzed about in the beauty community a couple years back. I remember in like 2015 or so. This is the Lancome Teint Idole Ultra Foundation. I have mine in the shade 100 Ivory N. This is amazing. I love the coverage it gives me. It gives you, I would say, high medium coverage on my skin. And I mean, I don't have acne scarring, I just have some freckles. But this stuff is amazing. It does such a great job of evening out my skin tone, giving me coverage, and lasting really nicely on my skin no matter what primer I'm using. Plus, I have no issues blending it out with either a sponge or a brush. So it's pretty good for both things. So this is definitely my favorite Holy Grail foundation of 2017. Okay, concealers. Surprisingly, I only have 2 concealers. And technically one of them I wouldn't necessarily say I used in the concealer department as much. I think on camera I used it more for concealer than I did, you know, in my day-to-day use, and that's the Tarte Shape Tape. I usually use this to prime my eyelids and then set it with a translucent powder or a light eyeshadow as a base. Rather than using it under my eyes. The only time I really put it under my eyes is if I'd had a really horrible night's sleep the night before, or for some reason my eyes are just looking dark, or whatever it may be, sick. I did it sometimes if my foundation didn't have full enough coverage to cover the redness in my face that I have, my rosacea. But if I ever wore this on a regular day with concealer, always get paired with, and I don't know where it is right now, and that would be my Becca Aqua Luminous Concealer in the shade Porcelain. Porcelain was basically a perfect match for my shade most of the year. Right now it might be a little too dark for me and a little too yellow at this time of year, but it's just a really nice, lightweight, luminous, dewy concealer that does a really great job of blending out Shape Tape without making it look too heavy on my skin and my under eye. Because if you're young, you don't want to cake up your under eye with too much product, just because then it becomes heavy, it becomes crepey, it starts to age your under eye area. Yeah, these were definitely a good eye primer for me this year, and then definitely I would say the Becca Aqua Luminous Concealer was one of my go-tos. The other concealer I used if I wasn't using that one was this one. This is the Kevyn Aucoin Supernatural Concealer in Light EC01. This is a little bit more on the yellow side, so I would probably balance it with more like my pink Tarte Shape Tape in Fair Beige, just because then it evened them out nicely, kept them in check. For brows, there were really only two standout brow products for me this year. First one being my Browvo Conditioning Primer. This actually, so last year when I put it there, I just said it was really, when I listed this, I said it was really great for, you know, prepping your brows, keeping your brow products in place, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't realize between looking at photos of me without makeup last December versus this December, after having used this for basically a whole year when doing my brows, this actually did help my brows grow, and I didn't even bother to read on the back what this does. It is a nutrient-rich primer for fuller-looking brows, and it does that. Definitely for me, the weak spot on my brows was kind of starting here onwards, and now naturally in my brows, it's kind of already built up to here almost. I definitely have gotten it through an arch. I just haven't quite gotten the whole tail filled in, and the tail still kind of fills in randomly in random places, but I am getting there, and this has definitely been helping. So this is like, this is a holy grail product for me. I don't know if I could ever do my brows without this product. And then the pencil I definitely reached for the most this year was this. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz. This one's in the shade Taupe. I just used this up over the holidays. I also have it in soft brown, but that's a little dark for me right now, so I'm not really reaching for it. But this one in Taupe has been my holy grail for years now, and there's a reason why it stays at number one. It's very nice, very precise, and it's a perfect match for my brow color, which I feel like is very hard for me to find. I only have one liner, and if you watch any of my tutorials, you shouldn't be shocked, because I compare every liquid liner that I buy to this liquid liner, and that is the Kat Von D Tattoo Liner in Trooper. I prefer the brush tips over the felt tips, just because personally I like how the brush tips can bend and move with your hand, rather with your skin, rather than the felt ones where when you press too hard, it's just gonna leak fluid everywhere. This one, when you press harder, it's just gonna make a thicker line because it's gonna spread the brush out. But it just takes using a very light hand to draw your line, and it's amazing, and it doesn't budge, and it doesn't go anywhere, and it's a good price. For $19, that stuff definitely lasts me months. Two blushes I've been loving this year. I've definitely been reaching a lot for this one, which surprises me. This is the Milani Baked Blush in Luminoso. I know this is the cult favorite. Everyone and their mother knows about Luminoso. I love Luminoso. I've definitely reached for this a lot, especially over the summer before I restarted my channel. This was kind of my go-to blush for me. And then in general, this isn't necessarily the shade, but I picked the one that had the most damage to it. But the Clinique Cheek Pops will probably forever and always be my favorite cheek colors. They are easy to use, buildable, and the color selection is really nice on these. They range from nude to very dark and everything between. They've got a purple, for crying out loud. I could really only think of one individual shadow this year that kind of stuck out to me as being the best and what I reached for the most, and it's actually a ColourPop Super Shock shadow. This one's in the shade Alchemy, which is a glitter sheer. I have literally hit pan on this. See the silver in there? That would be it. This is a glitter sheer, so this is really great to top over any finished eye look, to just add more glitter to it without needing to pull out a loose glitter itself. This stuff is amazing. Move on to face palettes. Yeah, face palettes. Let's do face palettes. So I have 3 face palettes, and shocker, no shocker, it's kind of obvious what the 3 would be. Haha, Hourglass. Hourglass, I feel like this year definitely hit the face palette game out of the freaking park for me. This has always been a go-to for me, especially for setting my face. I did use it again on my whole face today, so when you see this tutorial, you will see me use this in action. I've really come to love all 3 shades in this palette. I used to really only use the middle one, because as you can see, that's the one with the biggest dent in it there in the center. But I've definitely started using more of dim light over here, and radiant light I used a little bit more in the early fall to kind of bronze my face a little bit. And then the 2 new releases, the Ambient Metallic Strobe Lighting Palette has definitely been a go-to for me for highlighting for the past 3 months since I've had this palette at the end of September. This has been amazing. definitely not suited for deep skin tones, but I'd say light to medium, you can probably pull it off. And then this is the Ambient Lighting Edit Volume 3 palette, which comes with a little bit of everything in here. And this is just a great travel palette in general. I love this palette. I used it in a number of tutorials. I don't know if all of them necessarily made it up on the channel because I lost that SIM card. But I definitely got a lot of use out of this so far, and it barely looks like I've even made a dent in this. I feel like I was reaching for this in almost every tutorial I did for the month of November, and it's still going strong. It doesn't even look like I touched it. $80, but it's definitely worth it. Let's move on to eyes. I know I kind of touched on the single shadow before, but I've really only got 2 palettes that I kind of want to mention this year that were kind of standout palettes for me. The first one is the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. I feel like, especially in the first half of the year through the beginning of summer, this is kind of a palette that I reached for 24/7. This is definitely a go-to. It's a good year-round palette. When people see this, they think usually, oh, this is a fall palette. It launched in the fall, what, 2 years ago now? A year ago? I don't even know anymore. But this is definitely a classic staple, re-mentioned. And then my other favorite that I reached for a lot this year was actually this guy. This is the Makeup Forever Artist Shadows 9 Palette Volume 1. This, I was given this as gratis at Sephora. These shadows are so beautiful and amazing. If you've never tried a Makeup Forever eyeshadow, you need to. This is a beautiful palette. I talked about it in my decluttering eyeshadow palette collection because I can't part with this baby. It's one of my favorites of all time, and I definitely use this a lot in the fall when I wasn't filming for on camera because I was trying to test out all the new stuff and new looks and things. But I'll definitely be doing a tutorial with this for the spring because this is such a nice cooler tone neutral palette, which you don't see a lot of nowadays. And then in general, I couldn't pick just one single eyeshadow besides that ColourPop one to just be like, yep, those are the favorites. So I just thought I'd pull this out because this is my current go-to Z palette for the winter time. I've been playing around with this a little bit lately, but just in general, single shadows I feel like have been my go-to for eyeshadows this year. I haven't necessarily been reaching for palettes quite as much. I usually reach for maybe one palette because I know that there's a color in there that I'm dying to use, and I usually pair it with some kind of a Z palette I've got going on at the time. But yeah, I mean, single eyeshadows are a great way to build a collection. If you're very picky with your palettes, I would suggest doing something like this. Or if you're someone like me who has so many single eyeshadows, try doing what I'm doing where I switch out my shadows in a Z palette. So this one holds 25 when I do this. It gives me 25 eyeshadows to play with for 3 months. And then it kind of gives me a chance to rotate through and use more of the colors in my collection, which is great. Next, I'm going to move on to highlights, I think. Yep, let's do some highlights. So besides the Hourglass palette that I mentioned before, one of the more popular highlights that I used this year was definitely the Lorac Source Illuminating Highlighter. This one's in the shade Moonlight, which is just a really nice light pink color. Here, let me put a little bit on because why not? Going to bed after this. It just gives such a beautiful extra, look at that. It just gives that little extra. And I love it because it's a really nice and natural looking highlight as opposed to being very chunky and glittery. And there's now 5 shades instead of 4. They did add a new shade, which I'm looking forward to trying out now. But yeah, this is a great highlight for all skin types, definitely. The other highlights I loved, and these should come as no surprise because I used these for an entire month and a half straight. These are the Dior Skin Nude Air Luminizers. I have the shade 002 and I also have 001. Just for comparison's sake, let's put a little bit of 002 on the other side here. That's just that little bit more. Ooh. Ooh. See how this is definitely a little bit more blinding, whereas this is more subtle? That's definitely the difference between these two, but these are fantastic. They're just, you know, a little bit more pricey. Moving on to bronzers. I definitely use this bronzer a lot. This was a new launch for 2017. This is the Ciate Bamboo bronzer in Palm Island. I definitely use this a lot in the fall. I think I purchased this at the end of August. So this is a newer purchase for me, but I do love it a lot. It's fantastic. It's amazing. There are 2 different shades. There's this one, and I don't know what the darker one is called, but there is one for every skin tone in the collection. The other bronzers, these are legit the holy grail bronzer of 2017 for me, and it is these guys. These are the NARS Sun Diffusing Bronzers. I have the shades Laguna and Seaside. So as you can see, Seaside's definitely a little bit lighter. This is definitely this time of year, this is definitely more my summer color. These are an amazing light wash bronzer. They just give the subtlest amount of bronze to your face. They're not super intense, they're not super pigmented, but that's kind of what I like about them. It makes it easy to build. So if I were to take Seaside, oops, that's Laguna. If I were to take Seaside right now on this brush and just, you know, add a little bit extra to my forehead. This isn't going to blend so well because this is already set. Did not think that through, but it just adds that little bit of extra warmth to your skin without looking overpowering or intense. And these are fantastic, and there are 4 shades in this as well. So in terms of lip products, rather than listing every favorite lipstick shade, which we would be here for a year and a half if I did, I'm just going to share with you guys my favorite formulas. My favorite liquid lipstick formulas this year were definitely the Dose of Colors liquid lipsticks, the Kat Von D liquid lipsticks, and I would say the Anastasia Beverly Hills liquid lipsticks were also pretty high on my list. I say the Stila ones came kind of close, but they weren't quite as good as the other 3 for me, and they don't have quite the same shade range as those ones do. In terms of lip glosses, I really loved the ColourPop lip glosses this year. I don't know why. I've actually got one here, one of the Kathleen Lights ones in Moonchild. These are just such a nice formula. They're very lightweight, they're glossy. They just work. There's one in particular in the shade Fairy Floss that's amazing to try out. I think if you're fair, it's a great option in like terms of if you like White Russian, those are great. Also, there's another favorite, the Buxom lip polishes, which are like Hot Toddy, White Russian, Mudslide. Those guys are fantastic lip glosses. Not quite as heavily pigmented, but they're still amazing. And then in general, a lip gloss I've been obsessed with recently, but I don't necessarily love all the lip glosses in this line, but the Dose of Colors and the Desi Katie and Dose of Colors lip gloss in Over the Top is a fantastic lip gloss. This was the one I had on before at the beginning of the video, but I kind of wiped it off because it was driving me a little crazy. It was just too shiny on camera. But this is a great formula as well. Setting sprays. Okay, I've only got 2 guys, so this will be really fast. The Milani Make It Last is definitely my favorite from the drugstore. This stuff's amazing. I bought this at the end of summer, and I'm already halfway through this. I mean, whoa, that goes so fast. But it's an amazing primer. It does have a high alcohol content, but to be honest, a lot of setting sprays have an alcohol content. That's how they keep the makeup to staying on your face. So yeah, the other one is this one, which I just finished up when I finished filming this makeup tutorial, which will be coming soon. This is the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. This is just a go-to for me. I always use this. And like I said at the beginning, I also use that Smashbox one at the end of doing my makeup as well. So yeah, guys, that was the, as fast as I could do it, rundown of my favorite products of 2017. I didn't want to do a least favorite products of 2017, mostly because 1, I had already gotten rid of half of it and it wasn't even here to show you, so what's the point? And 2, I recently did an empties video, and that feels like too much negativity to have in a month span on a channel, so I'm just gonna go with nope, and I'll keep it in mind for the end of next year. So, you know, next December I will ask you guys if you're still interested in having that, and if you are, I'll do one then, but not now. Also, since it's the end of 2017, I want to really quickly say thank you to everyone who has subscribed in 2017. As of December 30th, I hit 100 subscribers, which blows my mind that I even got to 100. I had secretly hoped I could get to 100 before the end of 2017, but I didn't really see that happening, you know? So the fact that it actually did just kind of, it literally made my heart sore when I logged in and saw that it said 102, and I went, oh my god, I got 102. And like I've said in previous videos, once I reached 100 subscribers on YouTube, I would be doing a giveaway. So in the next week or so, there will be a video up talking about that giveaway and chances to enter and all that kind of stuff. So keep an eye out for that. So if you want to see that video and you want to see more videos from me because you think I'm awesome and cool, you should definitely hit the subscribe button down below and be sure to hit the notification bell so you know when all those videos get posted. Starting now in the new year, I'll be uploading Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. That is 8 p.m. on the East Coast, and that is 5 p.m. on the West Coast. I'm getting so much better at that. Okay, I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!